Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Eternal Backlog. We are back after Sony's State of Play showcase for what is the last podcast for a number of weeks, because it's going to get mad with a whole heap of stuff that's going to be happening on the channel. We've got Xbox, we've got a whole ream of other stuff, and we might even hear from Nintendo at some point. Nothing in the locker so far from them, but expect a lot of content dropping both on shorts, on the long form, all kinds of good gravy. I'm sure you guys will enjoy that. But first, we've got the standard, the staple, the breakfast, the main wholesome grub that is our podcast, which we're going to get into here. How's it been going after last night? Have you managed to pick yourself off the floor of what was quite a disappointing show?
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't watched it already, go back and watch our reaction video. But I was completely appalled. You know, this is probably the second or third year running that we've had an abysmal performance, should I say, from Sony.
Yeah.
You know, ever since the old leadership left, especially now, most recently with Jim Ryan leaving, PlayStation isn't the same.
No.
I get that the industry's changing. You've got to adapt. You need more live service games to kind of, keep the cash flow coming in. But it just seems like the single player experiences are at an absolute all-time low, and the live service games are at an all-time high. So if you're into that, then PlayStation's still the platform for you. Personally, I'm not. Never have been.
Well, this is the thing. I was thinking about this a little bit earlier today, right? So there was a couple of live service games I've actually started playing. So when we get onto our games played section, I'll talk a little bit more about Multiverses, which was a reboot by Warner Brothers. And that's a free-to-play live service game.
I should probably clarify that, though. So when I say live service games, I'm talking about your typical Fortnite and Battle Royale type games, you know what I mean? Because, I know we're going to talk about it later on, but XDefiant, again, another free live service game, and that's absolutely fine, relatively speaking. We'll get into it.
Yeah, definitely. But then it was, for me, it was like time bandwidth. Mm-hmm. How many of these games can you have going on at any one time? And I think that's the big problem. Anyway, coming up on today's show, we got a whole heap of stuff, including the latest news that's coming. And to give you a little bit of a taster of some of that stuff, well, unfortunately, we're already having Summer Game Fest spoilt for us by the leakers. They leaked the State of Play last night, and they've also leaked some information about a specific game that we really both love, and it's just being ruined for us. Well, I won't go into the other stories. We'll go into that in a bit. Housekeeping section very quickly. Our question of the week results, we had none, so we don't need to go into that.
Time saver.
And our poll results have been Microsoft 100%, who had the worst few weeks. And it's funny, isn't it? It's like old chip paper all of a sudden. Nobody's talking about it. People were talking about Hellblade 2 for about 3 days, and now nobody's talking about Hellblade 2.
Yeah.
It's really interesting how things move on so quickly.
I do have a theory, though.
Sorry?
I do have a theory, though.
What's that?
If there was any time that Sony could test what they did with Helldivers 2, that was the perfect week to test it.
Yeah.
While all eyes are on Microsoft, quick, let's try this out and see if we can get away with it. No, it didn't work. Roll it back. Microsoft's still suffering. We'll be out of the PR nightmare.
Definitely. Absolutely. So just a quick thing on, because we never managed to say it in our reaction on the reaction VT regarding State of Play. What was your favourite game? If you had to pick one game from State of Play, that reaction, what was your favourite one?
For me, it'd probably be Astrobot. And that's probably surprising, but Astrobot just felt the most freshest. It's something that, till this day, hasn't failed in the previous releases. Super easy to pick up. Got a feeling it's not going to be a full-price game either. Not free to play, but, sort of your $40, $50 mark, not the full 70.
Yeah.
And, there's not much to say about it. Just good all-round fun.
Yeah, it's. It says it all, doesn't it? If Astrobot comes out as the highlight of the show, and then I guess for me it's Infinity Nikki, which is an interesting explore world dress up game. You can make of that whatever you like, guys. You can read into that however you want.
Let's keep this clean, shall we?
But there we go. So that was State of Play. Poll of the episode this week, very, very simple. Which long-running FPS series do you prefer? Let us know in the poll. You can get that on Spotify or wherever you're picking this up from. You'll see a poll section. So if you're on YouTube, go to the community section and you'll see it there. You might need to scroll back a little bit, but it'll be there. So I'm interested to see how that one's going to pan out. Some big ones in there that could potentially win it. And our question of the episode, wow, it's just got to be done, isn't it? What are your summer showcase predictions? Let us know in the comments section. We'll feature them, the right answers. We'll feature the right predictions on our next episode, which, calculating it's probably towards the end of June, where we're going to be looking at the new, what was it, Hypercharged Unboxed.
Yeah.
I picked that up. We both bought that. We're going to get deep into
I've got to buy it, actually. You just reminded me today. I've got to dunk the money into it. I completely
I thought you already got it because it was on sale.
I forgot. No, damn it. It was on sale. I completely forgot.
There was a discount. I don't remember you saying on a previous episode there's a discount. That's why I thought you already grabbed it.
That must have completely slipped my mind. What is it now then?
There's a 10% discount. I picked it up on the launch day. I swear there was 20% off if you pre-ordered it. But
I think I've got some Microsoft rewards points I might cash in then, just so I don't feel slighted.
Yeah, definitely check that out. It seems to be doing pretty decent on the review scores from what we can tell. Yes, well, let's talk a little bit more then about our question from last week, which was, if you could buy a game studio, who would it be and why? And we've come up with two different answers for this one. Did you want to go first with yours?
Yeah, mine's probably a bit more obvious, to be honest, and that's Capcom. I think Capcom have this proven track record of just excellency. No matter what game they're putting out there, whether it's a side-scrolling platformer or fan favorites like Street Fighter or Resident Evil and Monster Hunter, they've just got something for everybody, and they really are truly one of the very few companies that have just grown from strength to strength. Don't get me wrong, they've had a couple of wobblers here and there, which every developer has had. But they've just got an amazing library of IPs that they can fall back on at any point if they really wanted to, and just pluck something out of the bowl and decide to make it. Me being a bit of a tech geek as well, they've got their own engine, the RE engine. And besides Resident Evil, that's the first time they've decided to use it outside of a Resident Evil game. They use it for Street Fighter 6. So it's proven. Lovely results. Yeah. Great longevity. This quality with gamers and customers. It's just an all-round crown jewel. And I think, the rumors are, of Microsoft potentially buying Capcom and Sony potentially buying Capcom. Whoever ends up buying Capcom, if they do get sold, will be proud parents, so to speak.
Yeah. And they've got such an eclectic mix of games as well.
Yeah.
I mean, even just, well, I don't think anyone's forgotten about Mega Man, but the Mega Man series.
Iconic.
I wonder whether we might get a new entry, possibly, into
I still have to play it.
Must be one of the longest running series out there, at least.
It's up there, yeah. That and Pac-Man.
Yeah, definitely.
Pac-Man
There's another Pac-Man game out now.
Yeah. It does look good, though.
It does. I want them to remake Pac-Mania.
Yeah.
That was the isometric one, yeah.
That was the one that was on the Atari ST, if I remember correctly.
It was 100%, where Pac-Man could jump over the ghosts. Yeah.
That was a risky jump, though. You never quite always got it right, but when you did, it was like, yes.
Yeah, definitely. It was a good game. I went for Hazelight Studios, the makers of It Takes Two, A Way Out, and obviously the Brothers games. So I thought a little bit more on the smaller side of things. One, track record seems to be absolutely sublime, and it also plays into what I really love, which is online co-op games. They seem to nail it. They obviously give an option in certain times for other ways of playing it too. But I just think from a co-op experience and the different co-op experiences that we've had, they just have found a way. Even I'm like going, I wish I could go full screen on like It Takes Two. And then all of a sudden they went full screen, but they've done the split screen in these really cool moments. I just think they're a developer that tell an amazing story. And you hark back to yesterday's announcement of Astrobot. I mean, it'd have to do some seriously good stuff to beat It Takes Two in terms of that experience.
Yeah.
And definitely one of my favourites that we've featured on the podcast so far. So I was looking at it from a more of a strategical move. I thought, well, they're going to be someone that the big house publishers will probably vie over. And, you could potentially enter a little bit of a bidding war as long as you put a clause in and say, look, if it doesn't work out, we can go back independent.
Yeah.
That type of thing. So that was my kind of...
I think Hazelight's a great take as well, because they seem to churn out games that they're very good at making. They're not saying, let's make something that, for the sake of making money like a live service game. They stick to what they know. And they tend to release them at just the right time. It's not too quick, not too long. It's sort of that 3 to 4 year dev cycle, Yeah. So right now, I think we're on the cusp of hearing something new this year, aren't we?
I'm pretty sure we're going to hear something from them this year. I'd be amazed if we don't.
Early prediction: Summer Game Fest show itself.
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's on our predictions list. But yeah, you're absolutely right. It's not like you're asking Playground Games to go and make a Fable title.
No pressure.
But there we go. Speaking of the Summer Game Fest predictions, we're going to give you ours right now. We'll do line by line alternate, yeah?
Yep.
And make it a bit more interesting. So I'll kick us off. Gears of War Marcus Phoenix Collection. I think it's going to happen. I just think there's something to it similar to the Master Chief Collection. I've said it on the podcast episode before. Being able to have those games in a single playlist, all of those great multiplayer maps. There's kind of an argument for a 2v2 shooter aspect situation going on at the moment. There's not too many out there that are doing the 2v2, and Gears of War became really iconic for that 2-on-2 game mode.
And shotguns.
Then you've got the shotguns, exactly. And the melee combat on that. It'd be nice just to bring all of that together. So that's my first one.
Yeah, I think there's some validity to that. I think this is the year we're going to get Gears of War 6. Would be good if Microsoft played a little tease and just kind of midway through the show said, Marcus Phoenix Collection coming out soon, and then
that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah. For me, this one's already been leaked, but I'm just going to say it anyway. Doom: The Dark Ages. So this was project named, I think it was called Year Zero when the Activision documents leaked earlier this year. I have always said that Doom 2016, the full remake, was my favorite of the two, between that and Doom Eternal. I think Doom Eternal technologically was fantastic, but it strayed too far from the Doom formula, if that makes sense. Yes, the environments and enemies were there, but it was way too sort of super Doom, if that makes sense. It didn't really do it for me. So the fact that Doom: The Dark Ages is rumored to go a little bit back in time, even before the 2016 sort of game timeline, that seems to hit the sweet spot for what I want from a Doom. It sounds like it takes the slower paced approach of the Doom game, while introducing obviously a more modern technological stack into that as well. So I'm really looking forward to that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Shame it got leaked on us, but
well, the name did.
The name did. Yeah, true, exactly. So I thought, well, we've got to hear about this Series X digital. It makes sense that we hear about it now, so I put that next on my list. It needs to be done. It's probably the right time for Microsoft to do it before they talk in full about this potential new hardware, according to Sarah Bond.
Yeah. For me, next up, I'm going to go with, we're going to get an Indiana Jones and the Great Circle release date. I think that's an easy guess. I think it's going to be somewhere between Q3 and Q4, just in time for holiday. And I think it's also going to do amazing numbers.
I'm still not. I don't know.
No, you're not sure.
I think it could do good numbers, but I mean, it's a weird time for an Indiana Jones game. If you so it's
the Indiana Jones theme that you're not sure about, not the actual type of game.
I honestly would have preferred it in third person, if I'm honest.
Interesting. A lot of people have said that. Yeah,
but I do like third. Ever since I've come across things like playing the Ghost Recon series, like third-person shooters and things like that, I just seem to prefer them. What was the next one I've got on there? We've both got this about first details about Switch 2 hardware. it makes sense for Nintendo to start to make a little bit of noise about this now. Perhaps not a massive amount, because they've already said that they've got supply chain issues, and that's why they've delayed it out till next year. But they've got to be showing exactly what this is about at some point, you know?
Yeah. I think what the interesting thing is, and I think you touched upon it when we started recording today, and that is that Nintendo haven't formally put a date in for their quote-unquote E3 show this year, which makes me think they are trying to hog a bit more of the spotlight later on in the year. So let the big three and the Summer Game Fest kind of show their shows, get their announcements out, and then maybe a month or two from now, somewhere in autumn Q3-ish, that's when we'll have that Nintendo Direct, and it's like, right, guys, we finally got Metroid Prime 4 to show after all these years.
Well, there's been some rumours about there's going to be re-releases of at least 2 existing Nintendo titles. One Metroid, I think, was one speculated, and then a Zelda game. Was it Link?
I think I think they'll have to do a Tears of the Kingdom upgrade as well, because that thing really pushed limits, and I don't even think it was fully realised, to be honest.
Yeah.
But a switch to hardware bump could be nice.
Yeah. We'll see. Oh, it's not going to give me my new F-Zero game or my Wave Race game, but there we go. I think there's going to be from Microsoft an ABK Game Pass library update and a roadmap. Earlier this year, we saw this showcase stack style where they were showing almost a roadmap layout of games back in February. I think a part of their show is going to start to dial over to that, but I think it might be more orientated around that ABK lineup. What things are on that existing suite that they can bring in to Game Pass, and also some of the games that they've got the licenses to that they could potentially bring back onto the system. Kind of makes sense, and I think it also makes sense not to basically spaff everything at once, and actually, just you've paid all that money, don't give it all out in one go. I think they've got people preoccupied with the new Call of Duty for at least to take us into fall.
Yeah, well, I will add to what you just said, though. I don't think we're going to hear any more about previous Call of Duty titles getting added to Game Pass. It'll be more so the non-Call of Duty. So your Crash Bandicoot, Spyros, Crash Team Racing, that kind of stuff that will go, right, here it is, it's coming to Game Pass, and then they'll satisfy everyone's kind of Call of Duty thirst with Black Ops 6. For me, next on my list, I'm not too sure if this will happen or come true, but I really want to see some Clockwork Revolution gameplay. For those that don't remember, this is kind of the visual spiritual successor to BioShock Infinite. It looks absolutely phenomenal. A bunch of time traveling mechanics. It looks like it in a similar fashion to Singularity, so that's really ticking a few boxes for me. Again, last year they demoed, they announced it, but they said it's going to be done when it's done. So I don't know how close we are to seeing actual gameplay, but I would love some gameplay, or at least some sort of an update on Clockwork Revolution.
Yeah, definitely. Let's hope it doesn't get cancelled. Cancelled like Scalebound did, but...
It's sad that we've got to worry about that now.
Well, you just got to, yeah. Speaking of which, Redfall, the last update is out, by the way, guys. If you want to go and check that out. But anyway, the next one for me is I think that Sony are going to come back. Now, this is the controversial one for you because you think that they're done, or at least until much later in the year. I think Sony are going to come back August 21st to 25th with a Meteor showcase. My theory is still this, and we totally disagree on this, but my theory is I took a different tact. I think Sony wanted to get maybe used half an hour of what they wanted to show and put it out now because they're not going to go in June because they don't feel ready with the other bits that they want to show. So I reckon they're going to come out on the week of Gamescom in Germany, in Cologne, and oh god, memories. 21st to 25th, around that week, I think we're going to hear more from Sony then. But it still seems a little early, perhaps, on the hardware side. So maybe it could be later, but I'm going to stick with it anyway.
In theory, they've got until next year when GTA 6 comes out to get that hardware right.
Well, they need to move more PS4 owners over to PS5 first.
That's what I tell you. For me, so the next up in my list is Judas. This is Ken Levine's, speaking of Bioshock, Ken Levine's new IP. Looks absolutely phenomenal. We did get some gameplay last year. I've been thirsty for more ever since. So I hope we get our teeth really into some actual gameplay, more gameplay. And I don't remember, did we get a release date or a release window for that yet?
It doesn't ring a bell.
If not, I'd love a release date, and even more so, I'd love it to be on Game Pass day one. But that's just me.
That'd be nice.
Killing the industry, exactly. Game by game.
Next one is another controversial one, which you'll disagree with me on. I think that we're going to hear something from Xbox on the handheld front, but we're going to hear it as a UX. So we're going to see them. A lot of people have been talking in the last couple of weeks about Xbox future hardware operating like the 3DO, and Microsoft are basically going to open up their UX for their platform and allow third parties to create consoles. I think it's going to be handhelds. You've already got the manufacturers out there. You can sign existing relationships either for, like, say, Lenovo. Look, Lenovo, you can be the official Xbox UX feel, type of experience, which gives you leverage over, say, the Asus ROG. Or they could just say to all of them, look, we can give you that experience. We're quite happy as long as people play on the platform. Now, how that works with people's existing libraries, as opposed to, I'm guessing it's a hell of a lot easier to go and throw in something like Game Pass with a UX overlay on it, than it is to do the whole thing where people can play their whole existing libraries. But either way, I think that's where for me, you look at Microsoft, what's happened on the financial front. We talked about, the fact that they are a $3 trillion company, and yet they're still shut down Arcane. Well, they're obviously shutting these companies down for some financial reason, and if they can offset some of that financial risk, then perhaps that's a move that they're willing to take on that front.
Yeah, I've even heard rumors go as far as saying that the next Xbox itself is going to be quote unquote a reference box. So they'll make something and say, here's our version of what we think the next console will be. However, we've opened it up, like you said, to third parties. And then I think in order to achieve that and to kind of keep what makes a console great is you'll have to have an approved base spec so that all games on the library do run. Now, if you want to go above and beyond and then say that you want to throw in 32 gigs of RAM instead of the included 16 because you want to make sure that your Starfield can run at 4K, that's entirely optional, and obviously there'll be a price hit to that as well. But I don't quite know how I feel about that. Definitely competition breeds innovation, and I think for things when it comes to handhelds, it makes a lot of sense because you've got a couple of pieces of hardware already out there, so why not take advantage of it? But for the next Xbox itself, I don't know. I kind of like the ecosystem the way it is, but that's just me.
Yeah, definitely. Well, we'll find out soon enough. We're going to hear at least at some point this year. I can't imagine them, waiting any longer.
Yeah.
Next up for me then, first Fable gameplay. You might have that on your list as well. I'm not too sure.
Nope.
I think we're going to see something on the Fable front. We've got to.
I think so.
I
think so. For me, I want to see what Ninja Theory and Double Fine's next games are. I want to know what Project Mario is. I want to know that Double Fine will be fine, no pun intended. Whether it's Psychonauts 3 or some other IP, I just want to know that those guys will be okay and there's something in the pipe cooking. I'm pretty sure there is, but I think it will just put everyone's minds at risk. At ease, and it will also
it's easy to say risk, isn't it?
I know, that's what we're living nowadays. But I think it's also in Microsoft's best interest that these little studios under their umbrella kind of say, hey guys, we're still alive, don't worry, we're fine, and make Microsoft not seem like the big bad wolf as they have been recently. So Double Fine and Ninja Theory.
Nice. And Ninja Theory, if you're listening, which you're not, but if you did by some miracle, please pivot to something like Enslaved or do something. Devil May Cry or Enslaved or something. I'll play the game. Just, oh, God.
Actually, I did hear...
These stupid puzzles. Oops.
I did hear the other day that Ninja Theory just got their next game greenlit from Microsoft.
Yeah.
So it may be too early, but I'm hopeful. At least a logo or, hey, we're working on such and such game that will push amazing boundaries and whatever. So
that'd be nice. I did the same with you on the Double Fine IP reveal, but another reveal. Wow, we haven't heard anything from Gearbox in a while, and I think we're going to hear their next title.
I think they're up for sale.
I've got a feeling it's going to be Borderlands 4.
Oh, I hope not. They're up for sale. I think I think there's an acquisition brewing for Gearbox, but I don't know how much value there is at the moment.
No, I don't know. What else? Oh, it's you next, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. So next up I've got on my list, and I think this one's inevitable, and that's Forza Horizon 6. We're back to that year-on-year release now. We've got Forza Motorsport, technically Forza 8 last year, Forza Horizon 5 the year before that, so it only makes sense that this year we go for Forza Horizon 6. I want to see where it's going to be. I want to see the world opened up even more. I want to see some new ideas. You know, we've done the billboards, we've done the bucket lists, we've done the online sort of co-op.
100%. We need something new badly on it.
Yeah, don't just give me, a bigger location and amazing visuals, although those are greatly appreciated. I want to see something different. I know we got the new event system where you can kind of see an event kind of popping up Fallout 76 style on the map, and then you run to it and do what you do. But something a bit more. I don't quite know what that is. I'm not a game designer, but that would be very cool.
Yeah, definitely. And that's where I've got fatigue last time round because it was so samey.
You did?
So, yes, please. But what's really interesting on that, by the way, is the fact that if they're deciding to launch that this year, they're really going to bust the noses out of shape for the guys making Test Drive right now, because they've got their new Test Drive game coming out. And that obviously is extremely similar in terms of it being, it's all set in China. It's meant to be the whole of Hong Kong has been fully realistically mapped in this new Test Drive game, and the new trailer dropped. It's available to watch.
I didn't know. Okay, now I'm interested. There's always going to be competition, Whenever there's a Gran Turismo, there's a Forza Motorsport. It's just you got your two kings at the top, but it doesn't stop the crew from releasing a BS game every 2 years. So I don't see why Test Drive can't thrive in their own lane.
Yeah. I put something about I'm guessing it's live service, right? But Microsoft will announce something that is now. I don't know how it would work, right? But I'm thinking something that spans across PC and Xbox, but is only available if you are a member on Game Pass and on a free-to-play environment type thing. Or some type of title that leverages people exclusively to use Game Pass as a way of keeping that subscription rolling.
Are you talking kind of like a PlayStation Home equivalent? Is that what you're thinking? Or an actual game?
I don't know. It's a weird one. When I was thinking about how do we keep people subscribed to that service, and you mentioned obviously the fact that obviously being paying for online is, I guess, one element of it. But I'm thinking, well, what else could they technically do? What if they did release something that was really addictive, that everyone just got totally into, and it was only available to get via Game Pass across any platform, even if Game Pass ended up a couple of years from now being an app on the PlayStation.
Yeah. The thing that scares me about that is anytime you start bundling in more value to Game Pass, we run the risk of increasing prices. And we all know it's going to happen, but how much is still up for debate,
Yeah. They've confirmed they're not going to do an extra tier for Game Pass or Call of Duty, which is good.
I think after the year that Microsoft have had, that would just be the nail in the coffin. It really would. For God's sake, hold off. We're still hearing rumors about, another bunch of titles going over to PlayStation and another bunch of studios being shut down in, Q2 of this year. So enough with the bloodbath already, Microsoft. So I've already touched upon some old IP revitalization from ABK. I've got here anything from Sony, but after seeing the surprise state of play yesterday,
Yeah.
I had here Wolverine, Ghost of Tsushima 2, and possibly some PS5 Pro hardware.
Yeah.
Now that we've got that state of play out the way, I think if they are going to do something, it will probably align with what Nintendo's doing, something later on in the year. Although I've got more... I'm convinced more that it will happen for Nintendo than I am Sony. I don't know what's going on over there. They have had really bad performances over the last 3 years, so I'm not too... Again, I watched that show yesterday, not to go off on a tangent, and I sit there, I think I said this, there's nothing here that makes me want to buy a PS5 Pro. They should be ramping that notion up, like, oh my God, there's this big open world that, hint, hint, later on you might be able to kind of, see it in all its glory. But skipping past that, for me, GTA 6 2. GTA 6 Trailer 2, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't think this will be shown in any of the main shows, but it will be a sort of its own YouTube video that will just come up around the same time. It's been long enough. Let's get another trailer out there, show a little bit more in a way
That's
of
about
gameplay.
right. I mean, during the main Summer Game Fest show, it makes sense.
Yeah.
During that would be nice. Or
Absolutely.
they might wait till the Game Awards, maybe. I don't know.
Absolutely.
But we'll see. Next up for me, the way that I've got to give hats off for what's been going on with this new Black Ops game, because I thought the marketing that's been... This is what marketing's like, Microsoft. This is how you do the marketing. Some of the marketing I've seen for this game has been absolutely fantastic. And I know Call of Duty goes big on marketing every release, but this is really smart. This is one that really gets you thinking. The way that they were teasing out little nibbles every single day to give you an idea of what the plot line could possibly be, and then playing with your head about where we are today, about the whole subline of trusting everything that you're being told, really playing into the zeitgeist where we are now. I've got a feeling that, believe it or not, and here's me, someone talking who's seriously tired of the Call of Duty franchise, I've got a feeling it might steal the show, but for the good reasons, not just because of animations of a dog. Like the old days.
Ghost,
yeah, exactly. So I think that will wow even detractors like me for that particular series.
Well, you love XDefiant, you're going to be pleasantly surprised with how far Call of Duty's come. That's all I'm going to say.
Okay.
For me, I think this one's leaked, and it has leaked, and it's definitely obvious. I think we're going to get unveilings of the Oblivion and Fallout 3 remasters. It's about time. Fallout's hot. We're not going to get Fallout for another 5 to 6 years, possibly 7, 8. Let's just get Fallout 3 out there, which is revered as the best Fallout game, and be done with it. Not too sure if I'll jump back into Fallout 3, because it is a meaty game, as you keep putting it, but Oblivion, I've never played Oblivion, let alone an Elder Scrolls game, so considering I've got Skyrim, we're on the brink of ES6, well, it's only right to start with Oblivion remaster, or remake.
Oh,
whichever.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, once you told me that that was getting a remaster, I stopped. Yeah. I just got out the tower. But yeah. The obvious one, we know Starfield, Shattered Space. There's going to be a segment for it during Microsoft's conference, and I really hope that it packs a punch. I'm looking for new main cities on planets to be able to explore. Not necessarily revisiting back to updated existing ones. I want new things. You've got thousands of planets, start using them. And the fact that we already know there's going to be some form of either lunar rover or land-based vehicle will make it at least a bit more interesting going around on some of those other planets as well to just take out some factions or mine some resources. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to that. They've done a really good update, and they're turning it around. The redemption. Yeah. I say redemption arc. It wasn't in that dire straits, but it looks like they're living the games. Well, yeah. Possibly.
Yeah. No, I think I echo the same sentiment. I think what they're doing with Shattered Space, and, well, I'll take that back, actually. We don't know anything about Shattered Space apart from the fact that it's a story expansion. However, you've got a bit of a dog situation going on over there.
I think I just moved my seat, right? It sounded like they were thrusting. I've got a feeling I might have accidentally
Run one over.
moved the chair and run over the tail. Are you right there?
There you go.
God, even that was a giant rat underneath my chair.
Something like that. But no, we don't know anything about Shattered Space. But what they've been doing in their sort of quarterly patches and updates, the 60 FPS, the decoration, the giving us sneak peeks of the lunar rovers and everything, it's just really showing us, okay, if you're letting us know about these things now, you could have easily combined this into one massive update. But no, you're letting us know about this now. They've got something even bigger planned for the DLC. So I'm extremely excited to get that installed back on my hard drive again.
Yeah.
For me, probably my last one actually is Resident Evil 9. We're ready for it. I think Village came out in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been a good few years. I don't think it's ready to release for at least another year, maybe a year and a half. But let's get the initial teaser trailer out. Let's get the name of the game out there and find out what happens next in the story. Because all of a sudden, it's gotten very interesting.
Definitely.
You played any of the new Resident Evil games since 7?
I haven't played hardly any Resident Evil games, mate.
It's been rebooted since 7. You've got to play it. You have to.
But you know you can get. Well, I think did you play the Resident Evil VR game whilst you had a PlayStation VR or not?
No. I know 7, and I think 8 is now out on VR.
Yeah.
I finished both of those in regular, so I probably wouldn't go through them again. But if I did have a VR headset and a new one came out, absolutely I'd go through it. But it's not even about the scare factor. It's just the world of Resident Evil in first person that is just so phenomenal. You have to. They're all on Game Pass, man. A lot of them.
Eventually. It's just too much stuff out there.
The backlog is real.
It is very real, and I keep buying games anyway. Last one for me. Sega will reveal the first of its reworked classic titles. They gave that little teaser of the classics coming back. Which one it will be, I'm not sure. Part of me hopes it's, what's the next Crazy Taxi or the Crazy Taxi rekindle. I'd be quite happy with that. It seems to be time to do it.
I think it will be the 5 that they've announced, then give a teaser on the next 5 or however many.
Yeah.
It'll be volume 1.
Nice. I'd be well up for that.
Oh, all of them. For that. Yeah.
Exactly. Well, there you go. Those are our predictions. Whether how many of them we'll get right, I don't know.
We'll have to do a bingo card on the next. Who's next? Is it Microsoft we've got next, or Summer Game Fest?
I think it's Summer Game Fest first. I think Microsoft's the day after. It's on the Sunday.
Okay.
And Summer Games Fest on Friday.
Right. Here's what we're going to do to encourage everyone to sort of watch our reaction videos, which we've now started doing. We're going to have bingo cards set up, all right? And we're going to put all of the games into a bingo card, and we're going to call out and see who gets the most right.
Well, I'm definitely going to be doing on the Summer Game Fest show, the main Summer Game Fest one. I'm probably going to have some type of what they call it. It's like catchphrase bingo
with a little yellow man.
Yeah, and I might even have a little beverage every time one that goes off. And there's going to be something on mobile games, classic mobile. Live service is another one.
Yep. Kojima's another one.
Kojima, yeah.
Yep. And I want to say someone running up on stage, but last year they had security standing around, so those days are gone. I do enjoy it though. I do enjoy Jeff Keighley's reaction last year. It's great.
Well, the guy's finally getting his GTA 6. So.
He is, yeah.
It's such a weird thing for someone to storm on a stage for. I thought they'd at least, if it happens this year, it might even be about something that's happened obviously this year between two different countries.
Yeah. Oh God, can you imagine?
It wouldn't surprise me. Although it went off, the Eurovision final went off without a hitch, believe it or not, after all the controversy surrounding that. But there we go. Should we just get into it before the news? Let's get into it.
I've got to let this out.
XDefiant, baby.
I've got some rage that needs releasing.
So,
you told me about this game.
I did.
Got really excited.
Well,
you get like this once every sort of 2-3 years, I want to say.
I do, yeah. I thought I was on the money with this one, and
You're not too far off, I'll say that.
Would it be a fair assessment if the big elephant in the room, which we'll get onto, was actually not something that was plaguing this game? If that wasn't there, would it be a pretty, you're almost there with the excitement on it?
You're almost there, as even with the current issues, which we'll go into. The phrase "COD killer" gets thrown around a lot, and you're not the only person who's kind of said this around the launch of XDefiant, and that is, it would be not for the plague of issues that it has, but for the lack. If it weren't for the lack of content, I'd say.
Yeah.
You got to remember, Call of Duty has an insane amount of content. So regardless of what kind of player you are, there is something for everyone, whether it's your game modes, whether it's battle royale, whether it's kill confirmed, whether it's partying up, 2-on-2, 4-on-4, 8-on-8, or whatever have you. The maps are classics. They've got the battle pass. They've just nailed it. People like to criticize COD every year for its yearly releases and we're getting bored and this and that, but I think what people don't really realize is that every year they've had time to refine, to tune, to add, to remove, to get better, or at least try to. So I've got to give them credit for that. And I don't think we realize that until we play something like an XDefiant or another contender in the same arena. Because it's only then you say, damn, you know what, I like to rag on Call of Duty, but they've been getting it right all this time,
Yeah.
So definitely XDefiant's a fun game. Does make me does give me a glimpse of the Stone Ages again, before the days of Call of Duty, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Well, it harks you back perhaps to the 360 era a little bit.
Yeah.
In terms of it being fundamentally a more puristic old style shooter with none of this skills based matchmaking in it, which has its pros and cons, by the way. But let's just go on the overview here for those that have never heard of this game. XDefiant is a new Ubisoft creation, and we're absolutely the first people to call out Ubisoft's BS on this podcast, but they finally deserve at least a little bit of credit. And it features the ex-Infinity Ward executive producer Mark Rubin, who's a big person behind this game. So it's a squad-based FPS shooter that is free to play. It features characters and maps across Ubisoft's line of games. So you've got a whole bunch in there, from Watch Dogs 2, Far Cry, Rainbow Six, The Division, and Splinter Cell. Those are the classes that exist today, and it looks like they're going to be expanding. We've got some news later on this segment of what potentially the new maps that are going to be. So we'll get into that. So it's got an optional seasonal pass to the game. As you'd expect, this game has to make money somehow, and I jumped straight into it, which I'm yet to really see the real benefits to at the moment, but it is what it is. And it's a real tight battle pass. At least with like Rocket League, you get the season pass on Rocket League. It will jump you up 12 ranks and unlock 12 ranks worth of cosmetics. This, it doesn't do a single one. You can pay additional coins to bypass ranks, but it starts you off on 0, whereas most of them will start you off on 12, and then you pay a little bit more to bump you up to maybe the first 20. The problem is with these passes, these cosmetics, unless you're playing that game in and out every single day until that season finishes, there's a whole heap of stuff that will stay locked that you won't be able to access or unlock from that season pass unless you grind it out and get those additional items. It's not like you're guaranteed to have them.
So what are those things at the end of each match then? You've got this meter that kind of goes up with your XP, and it looks like it's unlocking these skins and attachments. Is that not the battle pass stuff? So
there's like 2 layers to it. So there's a free layer, and then you've got the season pass layer. So you might find actually that you can go through a couple of different ranks where there's gaps, where there's no cosmetics at all. But on the season pass, you'll either get like additional XP, or there'll be specific cosmetics that you can can unlock through that. So it tends to be like double tiered that way. But yeah, similar to Fortnite, I guess, in the fact that, you know, I've bought Season Pass on Fortnite several times, but I try and say, look, if I'm going to buy Season Pass on it, I've got to really make sure that I play that game for that, you know, 90-day cycle or however long a particular chapter lasts for, to get your money's worth out of it, because you're not guaranteed all of the cosmetics unless you're willing to play to unlock it. Of course, you can pay more to unlock everything if you really want to, but you're talking people are going to spend hundreds and hundreds of bloody pounds doing that. So yeah, that's kind of the pros and cons in reference to that. The next big thing to mention on this is that it has no skills-based matchmaking. Now, this is a kind of a newer phenomena of this console generation, where they're using AI algorithms to figure out more comprehensively that if you are, say, for instance, on a high winning streak and you're doing really well, it will then put you into something where you're in a situation where you're going to lose a match. Similarly, if you're on a big losing streak, it will throw you into a lobby where you're guaranteed to get a win. This game doesn't do that, but I'm finding very sweaty players on this, especially with the sniper rifles, that are ruining this game outside of the elephant in the room, which we'll get onto.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons to it. On one side, it's really good for trying to sharpen up how good you can get at this game by learning from people that are really good at it. On the other hand, if you just want to have a little mess around and just enjoy killing people without every single match feeling like it's down to the death, this might not be for everyone, this game.
Yeah, I think that element of it is more an excuse than it is a feature, if I'm honest with you, because it's just less work they have to do server-side. Oh, let's put these level 30 players with these other level 30 players, or close enough. You know,
yeah.
I see no benefit of adding a bunch of level 1s in with a bunch of level 40s and 30s. It makes no sense. You're just going to get your ass handed to you.
So I think they are going to do something a bit more bespoke for that ranked thing when they release it.
They have to. All that's going to do is turn players around. You know, if you get someone, because like I think you mentioned this a couple of episodes back. Whenever there's an online game, you have to jump on it day one in order to rank up with people. Otherwise, if you jump into it weeks, months, or even years later, you're going to be at a serious disadvantage. That's like, if I love Gears of War, but I cannot play that multiplayer to save my life, because every time I get round to playing it, I just get my ass handed to me, and I'm sitting there waiting for the match to play out. It's not fun. So I definitely think they need to invest the time and resources into making a skill-based matching algorithm.
It's weird how this is such a big thing that people talk about, though. And it makes me wonder whether it's a bunch of these borderline pro players that just really enjoy racking up 50 plus kills in a match, and they know they can't do that if they get put in people with similar ranks.
But then all you've got to do is introduce the option. You know, do you prefer skill-based matching? Do you prefer just being thrown into a room where anything goes? Give the player the choice. If you introduce that logic and algorithm server side, then all you got to do is add a tile or a button to toggle on and off. It's simple. Yeah,
exactly. In terms of the game modes, well, we've got Hot Shot, which is a token-based scoring round system.
Kill Confirm.
Similar to that. Kill Confirm, that was what you were mentioning. And also, if you've played the finals, there's a mode very similar to that as well. We've got the traditional attack and defend, escort the package style. But it's more akin to Overwatch. If you played this on Overwatch, you pretty much got like a drone, like this bot type thing that you have to escort from a linear track that it's stuck on from one place to the next. And that's pretty interesting. I do like that game mode, but I keep getting the same, or generally the same map on rotation, which is the New York map, Times Square.
Yep.
From the Division. So hopefully there's a bit more variation on that. We've got Domination. So those familiar with the Battlefield series will be familiar with that. Zone Control, which are limited time zones that change with time. So you could dominate a specific space, but then you've got to run over somewhere else. Which is interesting because you can find yourselves. We'll give you a tip, one of the tips for that, a little bit later. But it does make that a bit more frenetic. And then Occupy is like a single point capture that changes through time. If you rack up enough abilities on this game, you can use an Ultra, which is like an OP version of one of the class's abilities that you select as a character. So I've not managed to get an Ultra yet. Not once.
Not once?
Not once. I only just got my kill streak a few days ago.
I think I get one every match, if not two.
Yeah.
They're not amazing Ultras, if I'm honest with you. They're severely flawed. It's like one of them on the character that I use. It's like creates this massive shield, a 360-degree shield. Yeah. But it makes you walk really slow like a tank. So the idea is no matter what angle you're facing, you'll be protected if someone shoots you. But because you're super slow, people just run into the bubble and melee you dead. So it's not really something.
But what I did find really helpful, though, was when you did have it active, your teammates could come into that bubble, provide that additional firepower, but get protection at the same time. Yeah. So it's really handy for if you've got a team that actually works together.
That cooperates.
Yeah, and cooperates and stuff. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the classes. So I don't know what your particular favourite one is, but we've got the cleaners, who are the pyrotechnicians from the Division. Inside there, they've got a bunch of my favourite weapons from those is the flamethrower drone, which is really good if you just want to get, especially a kill from the grave. If you manage to let that thing rip just before they kill you, you can pretty much guarantee you're going to get a kill back. You've got Echelon, the super spies from Splinter Cell. Seems to be a favourite for people playing XDefiant. You've got the ghillie suit to go invisible, and you've also got the enemy detection, which comes in real handy. One thing I do like about this, though, and we'll go into the other classes, is the fact that every single map and seems to be really getting you to think about the class that you might want to select and also your weapon loadout that you want to select in perhaps ways that seems a bit more focused than some other shooters that I've played, especially on the abilities front at least. For this particular map, we've got the Libertad, the Freedom Fighters. I guess you could call them like the health class because they've got a whole bunch of health tanks and they're really sort of like the support class in this game. Phantoms, the Future Soldiers. They've got you've got you play with the Phantoms quite a bit, don't you?
Only Phantoms actually.
So you got one that's a giant riot shield, and then what was the other one?
A regular like force shield. You can shoot out this kind of
that's it, yeah.
grenade thing, and it will just create like a mobile shield you can kind of hide behind, which is good if you've got. It's good on those game modes where you've got the what was the one you mentioned where you have to protect and walk that robotic dog again.
Yeah, the escort. Yeah.
Escort mode. Yeah. So if you get stuck in a like a bottleneck area, and what you'll tend to find is the other team will just camp out there, so you can't even get there anymore to move your robot dog. You can pump one of these shields out, hide behind, pick off your enemies, and hopefully start getting that dog moving again. So it does have its uses. Yeah.
No, definitely. And then the last class, which you've got to rank up 700,000 XP or pay.
I'm almost there.
To unlock it.
I'm almost there.
Oh, my word.
I think I'm in the 600 range.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Almost there.
I'm so behind. I'd be interested to see what these abilities are like. I'm guessing they are... One of them's like jamming. It makes sense that you jam or hack like people's ability to use either their power-ups and stuff. It's something to do with hacking, because it's obviously
it'd have to
Watch
be
Dogs 2.
What I would love if that final ability was a hot shot. You could just hit the trigger, hit your bumpers, and then bang, you become an instant hot shot where you get the super speed and you get a bit more health. That'd be amazing. That I would love to use.
That'd be pretty decent. So what's your favourite maps in the game then? Because we got a whole heap of them here.
Yeah, surprisingly, I'm looking at this list. I think
I bolded the ones that I think there was a couple that you liked.
The only one that I don't like is Attica Heights.
Yeah.
I like every other map there, to be honest. They've really nailed it. They've nailed the whole element of, there's 3 ways to get to the other side of the map. They've got your crawl spaces, you've got your objects you can kind of hide behind. They're not too big. They're not too small. I think Arena's probably the smallest one, where you've got the indoor kind of
gymnasium type.
Yeah,
thing.
it looks like a gymnasium, but there's a bunch of crap in there where you can kind of hide behind. But that one, you'll definitely spawn and get killed instantly a good number of times. But I have to give testament to them. It's very hard to nail a map. I think anyone who's made a map before, whether it's an older game on the PC in the 90s or even nowadays with map editors, it's easy to throw together a map, but it's very hard to kind of figure out that dynamic, that flow and fluidity. It's not just about placing objects in a sandbox and saying, okay, that's a map. You've got to think about, okay, if I place 6 people at this particular spawn point, there's only 3 ways this can go. They're going to go left, middle, or right. And then you've got to think, okay, well, the opposing team's probably going to come either the left, middle, or right as well. So it's going to create this contention war zone in the middle. But you've also, like I said, got your crawl spaces where you've got your typical snipers hanging out. You've got your object in the middle that you can kind of camp up there and, raise a flag or whatever game mode you're playing. They've nailed it, if I'm honest with you. So I'm actually really, really looking forward to seeing what they bring out next, map-wise.
Yeah, they seem pretty decent. And there's a nice variety as well. It's not like... I think Showtime's one of my favourite ones. It's like you're in like a Western movie set at one point.
Yeah.
And then inside it's like carnival themed, and just the fact that there's that juxtaposition from one map to the next.
Yeah.
And like we said, it's either original maps or we're actually playing from areas that have been in existing Ubisoft titles in the past. So like Noodleplex was in Watch Dogs 2. You've got Echelon, obviously, from the Splinter Cell, things like that. So lots of variety in there. I think they're pretty decent. But yeah, I think that the Gymnasium one, or whichever that's called, I think
Arena?
It's the Arena. That's my least favourite one. My least favourite one, because once you control the middle of that place, especially from a height, it becomes really annoying to try and win that back. But your favourite mode, though, I'm pretty sure it's Hotshot, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm very simple when it comes to these online FPSs. I just like shooting, and that's pretty much it. And the closest thing you get to a free-for-all or a team deathmatch is Hotshot. And I like the ability of being able to confirm my kill by picking up that token, or denying someone else's kill by picking up their token before they do.
Yeah.
It's a very fast-paced mode. There isn't much hanging around, but there is, talks of them actually bringing in a team deathmatch mode where it purely is killing and nothing more than that, which I'm actually very happy about.
Yeah, definitely. I'm surprised it wasn't there on launch, but
yeah, that was a bit of a weird one, if I'm honest.
Hopefully they bring it in. Yeah.
Again, another feature that requires less work to implement, but hey,
yeah,
that's what they wanted to go for.
Exactly. What would you say then when it comes to tips for new players on this game? I've got a couple. One that I found actually, just by random, is the sheer mobility you get from switching to your handgun.
Yeah.
Which was especially for where that capture point changes on these capture-based areas. You can really get to those places a lot quicker.
Yeah.
After a respawn situation.
As I was thinking about it just now, there are a number of things you can do, but I think the things I'm about to suggest, it's very hard to apply to this particular game, and that's for one simple reason. If a new player, like I said, were to jump into the game today and everyone's leveled up, you're going to have a hell of a hard time playing this game because there's no skill-based matchmaking. Granted, they've added welcome playlists, and that's fine, but that goes up to level 25. So you're going to get some beasts coming close to that 20-25 area. I think they need to scale that back a bit. Typically speaking, when Call of Duty's done the same thing, I think they've only had the welcome playlist go up to 10 maximum, if I'm not mistaken, which is a good amount of time for you to figure out the mechanics and stuff. You're going to get your ass handed to you. I think I'm a level 34 or 33 maybe. And on a regular basis, I get my ass handed to me. On a regular basis, I do come top of my team. I've had the MVP twice. Getting that third one's become a bit of a problem. It's standard tips, make yourself a hard target, duck when you can. If you spot someone and you're not quite ready to engage in shooting, slide, buy time, evade. Be strategic with your reloads. Make sure you're hidden behind something or in a position where you've got those few seconds to reload.
Yeah.
Attachments, in my opinion, I can't see them making much of a difference. I know you've got it on the itinerary here, and I'm just going to talk about them briefly. I don't know what it is. I've maxed out my guns, firepower to maximum, maxed the mobility up to maximum, accuracy up to maximum, and for some reason I can't seem to get, I don't know if it's a bug, I don't feel like it's actually doing anything in terms of my performance. The only thing really I can say that makes a noticeable difference, at least to me, is the scopes, because obviously you'll see that, and your magazine upgrade. So if the 15 shot clip is too small for you and you want something that reloads faster, can hold 30, that's definitely a worthwhile upgrade. But no, create situations that give you an advantage. You're gonna run into people, and we're probably going to talk about this in a minute, and that's the hit detection, where the hit detection is not going to favor you, whether it's based on your ping, your packet loss, your location in the world, or the server you're connected to. It's going to be very hard to kill people, at least today when we're recording this on May 31st.
Yeah, let's go into that then.
Yeah.
It's launch day didn't go that great. I mean, people couldn't get on and play the thing anyway. And then there's been this whole hit registration issue that's been plaguing the game. And I'll be honest, unless something's happened over the last couple of days, and bearing in mind we record this around about 4 days prior to it airing, so at the point of recording, this issue hasn't been fixed. So I just want to put that out there. It's the biggest break. It was so weird that I sent you that footage where I had that round where it seemed like this is what this game's like without that problem. That one random round where everything seemed to work right. But the amount of clips that are online with this hit registration issue, you're seeing people unload 30 bullets without reply and the person not dying. It's crazy. And
no, you're right, because you mentioned that. I think they fixed it, and I hopped on immediately, jumped into a party with you, and that first game we played, it was absolutely fixed. I was killing people in 8 bullets or less. Then that second game, I was like, all right, it's a kind of 50-50. Let me just give it a bit of leeway. But that third game to maybe the 10th game we played, I was like, no, this isn't fixed. Something happened.
We went on about an 8-9 bloody round losing streak. You'll see in the footage here. Because when we were capturing, we went on a huge losing streak.
Abysmal.
Oh, dear.
And it's frustrating.
They're running out of runway, aren't they, now?
Well, they've got all these plans and all the rumors. We're going to bring Team Deathmatch in and add a new map every... That's all fine, but if the bloody game doesn't work as it's intended to, then what's the point, And I don't know why I don't know if I'm a masochist. I keep succumbing myself to this. I jump on thinking, no, today's going to be a different day. Positivity, Armick, you can get through this. There's worse things going on in the world today. Hop on. No, I'm just instantly brought back to that dark place where I hate everyone and everything. And it's been a long time since I've screamed at the TV as much as I have with this game recently. To the point where my wife's like, what the hell's going on up there? And I'm like, don't talk to me. I'm gonna put a hand through this TV. I swear.
Well, they've got to make this priority number one. Yeah. And I think the longer this continues to be a problem, the closest that Ubisoft have got to trying to crack this particular genre, which if you look at some of their efforts over the years have been woeful, and this is the first time they've come so close. For it to not happen because of this particular... It's so weird. It's just a weird problem.
We talk about all these free live service games all fighting for your time. And it's very rare that one of them picks up as much, of a following as this has. So the fact that 2 weeks into launch, and they had network and beta tests prior to launch, and it's still going on. It's like, dude, Ubisoft, you really have to fix this, because not only is the company in shambles, and you could do with this cash flow right now to revitalize, heck, maybe even get Good and Evil, Beyond Good and Evil 2 back in development, but they've got a stellar chance of being relevant again while promoting their other games in the same game, being free, and actually being a good, fun game that could, to some degree, rival Call of Duty. And here we are, week 2, going on week 3, and what's his name again? Ruben? Something Ruben?
Mark Ruben, yeah.
Mark Ruben posted something to the effect of, well, we think it's this on the server. It's like, dude, that doesn't give me much reassurance, you know? Because I tell you what, the way I'm feeling right now, once I get that last achievement, I'm done unless this is fixed. So new modes, guns, whatever. Once I get that last achievement and I got that full 1,000, I'm out.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 achievements left. Oh, so, you know, you haven't got much time.
You have to add more, guys.
Ruben.
Yeah, it's weird, and I don't think it's being helped either. When you'll probably see it in the footage, actually. These sweaty players with the snipers, the sniper rifles in this game are absolutely overpowered. They need to be absolutely buffed down. Buff the right word or nerf the right word?
Nerf, you want to make them... Yeah, either buff the guns or nerf the snipers. One or the other.
Yeah. They need to sort that out, because they're ruining, even in that welcome playlist, they're ruining certain situations. It's just over the top, overpowered. And it can be easily offset, either by making the scope harder to nail that shot, or making the reload of the particular sniper rifle take a lot longer to make them think twice about continually trying to use it during a map.
Well, my personal favourite is, as the animation is taking place of the scope being pulled up to the player's eye, in that frame, in that 2 or 3 second animation, just make the trigger unavailable until the animation's completed and it's fully realised on screen. So that's what you got to do, is to introduce a dead zone.
Yeah. Well, hopefully they'll figure that out, because that's nothing to do with Ubisoft in terms of people's playing styles, but I don't know.
This is where it gets, and I don't want to dwell on this too much, but I've tried putting myself in, a developer's shoes or a publisher's shoes and say, well, this isn't a new problem. This is something that Call of Duty's been fighting with for 20 years. Well, I say fighting with. Well, gamers have been fighting with for the last 20 years. But then from their perspective, you also got to think of the fact that, well, snipers are a huge population of these types of games. So you start annoying them, you could potentially lose a large chunk of your audience. So it's that fine balance of, well, snipers want to play because they feel like they've had the advantage. Everyone loves the feeling of winning and being able to win.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's at the cost of all the other people saying, F this game, I'm out of here. You know what I mean? So it's a very hard thing to balance. I don't know. The only thing I can think of right now is make a game mode called No Snipers. I've said this for years.
Well,
Guns only.
I think you can select that, like in Siege, as a potential option and stuff. Well, I don't even think there's that many maps in Siege you could use a sniper. It's all so close quarters. There's definitely as well, which I didn't put on these notes, there's clearly a bunch of XP farmers kicking about in this game, literally running on sub-accounts and then selling them online, that are really good at the game. I don't know why people would pay for a ranked up account. I don't understand it. They do it with Rocket League. It's like, what?
Do it with Pokemon Go as well.
It's crazy, but that's obviously part and parcel with a lot of these free-to-play games. So, but overall, I'm interested to see what happens with it. We've got just one last thing around some of the rumours here. So, Mark Ruben, this isn't a rumour, he said that there's a new map coming supposedly every month. Now, I've seen a couple of these, and would you believe it or not, one of them seems to be from The Crew, another one seems to be from Steep.
No, what, we're top of a mountain slowing down?
So The Crew's like in this pit area type thing.
Okay.
With a bunch of cars you can use as cover, and I'm assuming inside like an actual pit compound, and there's some back rooms in there, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
And then the Steep one set around like a ski lodge type thing.
Oh, that would be cool. I was just thinking of a cabin in my head.
Because it reminds me of 007 Nightfire.
Oh, yeah.
Epic ski map. A multiplayer on that. With the homing missile.
Fix the hit detection, for God's sake.
I think there was another one as well, but I can't remember what it was.
Here we go. I've been talking about Rayman the past couple of weeks. Make a Rayman map. Let's get the cartoon graphics out.
They could, technically, I guess they could. It would be interesting. Well, that wraps up our thoughts on XDefiant, and it's definitely worth having a check on their official X account or just type in hit registration or hit detection.
It's trending.
And have a little look to see whether it's been fixed. And if so, give the game a try, because I think that there's a good chance you may enjoy it. But yeah, I mean, it's early days for this title, and I'll keep keeping a close eye on it. In terms of shooters, it seems to be what I like. But yeah, there's only so much runway I'm going to give it before I end up clocking out, because if they don't fix that problem, then, you know, how long are you going to give them, you know?
Yeah.
But there we go. Right, we've got gaming news next, and we're going to bash through some of these. Let's start off with well, we've done the thing about the Doom leak. We don't need to cover that one. But in a nutshell, there are people leaking all of the Summer Games Fest stuff already. And so be wary of that when you go on a place like X, if you don't want it spoilt for you.
I do have one little theory I want to just touch on, because I just reading the notes here.
Sure.
A lot of people were a bit mystified at this whole. Well, allegedly, Doom: The Dark Ages is going to have like a medieval theme, as you mentioned. A lot of people were a bit mystified by that. What? This hasn't been a thing before. And I just got thinking. I was like, well, hold on a second. Id Software have worked on 2 other games that have a very.
You're gonna say Hexen?
Hexen's one of them, and the other one is Quake. If you played Quake 1, extremely medieval.
Yeah.
So I wonder, is this some type of gap being bridged here? Is there a Quake reboot on the horizon? I mean, I've been saying it for years. There needs to be a Quake reboot, because they were all Wolfenstein. Doom was a spiritual successor to Wolfenstein, and then Quake, and then Rage. And I'm just like, maybe they're tying something together here.
Yeah.
They've never done that. That'd be cool.
Possibly. There might be a crossover title, perhaps.
There you go.
Are you panting? No, he's all right. Okay.
Well,
we're going to give you a really depressing story here. The Uvalde shooting families has been attempting to sue Activision and Meta over the basis of this. I'm going to let my dog have a quick drink of water. He seems to be panting like he's on heat. But I think I've overcooked him. But families of the Uvalde school shooting victims are suing Activision, the maker of Call of Duty, along with other companies, alleging that these titles bear responsibility for products used by the teenage gunman that shot a bunch of people. So they are doing... What's his name? His name was called Jack something. Back in the day, was trying to allege that video games lead to violence, and that was off the back of the Columbine stuff.
Well, they've been doing it since Mortal Kombat 1, to be honest.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure Activision will laugh that one out of court.
No,
there's absolutely no basis to be able to...
How old was the shooter? Do we know?
So he'd been playing Call of Duty since he was 15. I'm guessing this shooter was less than mid-20s.
Well, there's your problem right there. So, how did he get a mature/18 rated game? Second of all, if he bought a console, or his parents would have bought him a console, I assume at 15, why didn't they set the parental controls up? There's a lot they can hide behind,
Yeah. But I don't think they're going to have... I mean, it's just a waste of money. Don't waste your money on this suit, because that ain't going to work. It isn't going to pay off. Activision will... Well, we'll see. We'll see. Valve has actually announced a new game, and it's not Half-Life 3. So it's a game called Deadlock, and if you are a fan of, I guess, of these titles, if you're a fan of Dota 2, Team Fortress 2, Overwatch, Valorant and Smite, and a little bit of Orcs Must Die, then you might like this game.
Live service games.
It's going to be set in a steampunk European city that features 6v6 battles in a huge map with 4 different lanes. I took a look at the footage. It's not for me, but it does seem to have a lot of PC players interested, at least.
You know, when you
PC
announced that Valve has got a new game, originally my instant reaction was, I'll believe it when I see it. And as you carried on, I was like, oh no, this will definitely come out. Yep. 1000%.
Yeah. Do you think we'll ever get a Half-Life 3 ever?
No.
No, not at all.
No. And I don't know if
they don't need to. You guys rolling in it.
Well, don't get me wrong. The cliffhanger that they ended on was a good one. And I'd like to know what happened in the story. But I'm scared that if they were to release Half-Life 3, it wouldn't live up. It's not even... Apart from... who owns Valve? What's his name again?
Gabe Newell.
Yeah. Apart from Gabe Newell, I don't think there's really anyone left there who worked on Half-Life. So you'd essentially be making it with a company
just for a name.
The same name only. The devs are gone.
Yeah. I don't know. We can all... Well, I say we can all dream. It's the first year, actually. I've heard no one really talk about Half-Life 3 for once, oddly.
Yeah, people are sick of it.
Because it always used to be a yearly rumour, didn't it?
That and Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah. Exactly. We do have some more businessy side news here. But it's interesting. It's going to be interesting for you at home in terms of how you pick up your gaming news in the future, because as we've seen over the last 5 years, mergers and acquisitions have never been more so, and it seems to be consolidating even further as IGN has bought out the whole of the Gamer Network, which really puts IGN in absolute monopoly style situation here pretty much. They bought the UK publisher Gamer Network, and that includes GamesIndustry.biz, which is an arm that IGN never really had much going for it. And if you're really into, that more businessy side of it, really valuable resource. Eurogamer, which I actually think have some of the more talented actual writers left of this industry that, I don't know, I've lost faith in the mainstream side of the game side of things personally. But was always at least something written decent every month on Eurogamer. Rock Paper Shotgun, VG 24/7, a tabletop site called Dicebreaker, and also it looks like Digital Foundry are falling under that umbrella too. However, they seem quite positive about it, actually. I watched a video on it because their former owners were more interested in the events side of the business they acquired rather than, the journalistic side of things.
See, I wonder if we watched the same video, because I also watched a video yesterday. It was like a Q&A style video, and it said something, Richard Ledbetter said something along the lines of, initially my thoughts were very positive, but as time's gone on since the announcement, I've watched a number of good colleagues lose their jobs. So now,
yes, that was the same video.
Same one,
he did preface that, yeah. He said in terms of having a company own you that were actually interested in video games versus one that wasn't, and it was more interested in the trade shows and all of this other stuff, then he said that was positive from that point of view. But again, they do this acquisition, they fire a bunch of people.
Yeah.
And then the same type of networks, Vox is actually, this is a side issue, that own the Vox Media Group that own The Verge, have done a partnership with OpenAI, which they're basically allowing all of the Vox's Media Group data to run through OpenAI. So that could be the next shift. I mean, how much of this stuff is going to end up just being written by AI bots? Yeah. So goodness knows what it's like to feel like working like professionally full time in that industry, and what is an industry that's losing market share just to regular people, because people like to consume content a bit more, hearing from each other.
A part of me wants to say I'm not surprised, but one part of it I am surprised at is how quickly AI's taken off. We all knew it would happen one day, robots will take over, but the shift in the past year, from when kind of ChatGPT became mainstream and everyone could sign up for an account till now, has been insane. With the work that Microsoft have done with Copilot.
The Copilot ones, as soon as those laptops start circulating around.
That's it. And then Google with Gemini, and we're on the cusp of Apple announcing Siri 2.0 next week. It's going to, once the big three have them out there, that's it. you better start thinking about the longevity of your current career and where you could be in the future.
Yeah. Do you know what I want to know? When are we getting the new versions of the Alexas? Because they are dumb. They are so dumb now.
You haven't used Siri. Siri hasn't changed since what, 2013 or 2010 or whatever it was. It's, what did I say the other day? What's the average salary in such and such state? And this is a common theme with Siri now. It never answers you anymore. It just says, here's some links I found on the internet. It's like, once you've experienced ChatGPT and having that information spoon-fed to you in a particular way, it's very hard to use anything else. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to the iOS 18 announcement.
Although, did you hear about the Google AI hallucinations that had been happening that were recommended people to, what was it, use glue?
Yeah. I think
to make cheese more sticky on a pizza.
It was either Tom Warren or Jez Corden. How do I think he was making a homemade pizza or something. How do I get the cheese to stick to the tomato? And it's like, use glue. And it's like, what?
So it's not quite there. There's some hope there left.
I think that's version 2. Morals. Yeah. Morals and practicality. And
exactly.
Not recommending illegal stuff, running through the local laws.
Yeah. There was something, wasn't there, that came out that we saw as well, this supposed room. I don't think there was much weight on this, to be honest. I reckon someone started a rumour on X and it just travelled about this supposed Microsoft wanting to buy Steam. Valve, essentially.
If you asked me any time in the last 10 years, I would have said, yeah, this is a great idea. This year, my whole perception of Microsoft has changed. And those who know me know how much I've stuck up and ridden for Xbox, but I don't want Xbox to buy a single thing for the next 10 years. No. What are you going to do? Just have everlasting ports of Half-Life and Portal? Or are you actually going to assign money to developers to make some of these games again? Portal 3, Half-Life 3.
I think it's more for that storefront, I reckon.
Oh, absolutely.
But,
I think
16 billion it's valued at. It's crazy money. Well, that's the drop in the ocean for 3 trillion.
You know what's mad? I remember I remember the first time I experienced Steam. I didn't get it. Right? I was a teenager. Bought a copy of Half-Life 2 on PC when I was a PC gamer. And it hit me with the installer. But before back in the day, you just hit next. Where do you want to install it next? And it would just let it run. This was different. And it said, in order to install this game, you have to install Steam. I was like, what the hell's Steam? So, all right, I got no way around it. So I installed Steam, and then let me proceed with the installation. The installation, obviously, on the disc was just Steam. Once you had Steam installed, it would start downloading Half-Life 2 in the background. So they forced you into the store to create an ID and then download the game that you'd paid for that wasn't on the disc physically. And I remember thinking, this is such a stupid idea, blah, blah, blah. I don't need another library.
Yeah.
But here we are. They've they introduced this digital storefront so long ago that it became the de facto place where they've really only started experiencing competition probably in the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, well, Epic don't seem to be doing that great a job of the competition side of it.
No,
great for picking up free games though.
But that's because Epic didn't jump aboard sooner.
Yeah,
they've owned that space for 15 odd years,
Yeah,
and I think that's where
I prefer it that way now. Though, if you imagine managing all of these individual games and executables outside of the light. I would rather Steam. It's weird on the PC side. I'd rather have a market dominant platform for a marketplace than it being so fractured that you have to go into Ubisoft, their version of it, just to play one of their games.
Origins,
and all of this other stuff would just be an absolute nightmare. But full of all these shovelware apps just to play the games you want to play. So it's not too bad on that front. Did you see that demo for Copilot coming to Xbox?
I heard something about it, but I don't remember. You might have to remind me.
Oh, it's looking pretty. So basically, at the Microsoft Build event, they demoed Copilot being fully integrated into the Xbox. And I just thought, this is just going to smarten up the search. Like, you can find games better and all this stuff. Oh no. They've used an example of it in Minecraft where you can actually talk to this assistant in real time whilst you are playing the game, and it will help you out.
Is this
And it
similar
won't
to
default you to Bing or anything like that. It will actually see what you are playing on screen and give you an idea of what you need to do.
Is this similar to that NVIDIA thing I was talking about a few episodes back?
Well, it seems to be like that, but in a personal assistant form.
Kind of way. Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then that got me thinking about, because what was it? Who was it? One of the big game... Oh, that was it. Kotaku basically got told to stop writing news and focus on doing game guides. This is going to just... And even people like True Achievements, this could really sort of encroach on their market if this becomes, fully integrated. I'm guessing it's going to be really touch and go. Like some games it will work, some games it won't. There might even be a little carrot dangle to these places to say, look, can we use your data? We'll pay you, but people can go through the assistant to compensate for it, because it's only grabbing stuff that's available on the internet anyway. There's going to have to be some compensation somewhere for the fact that it is using this stuff that is basically scraping off the internet that isn't its work. So they're going to have to come up with something, but I mean, on the surface, I kind of like the idea of it.
Yeah, one thing that springs to mind with me is, I don't know if you remember, some of the Need for Speed games, they always had this in-game personal assistant called Anna. No, or was that Forza Horizon? I think it's Forza Horizon, actually, sorry.
Yeah.
And I think one of them, maybe Forza Horizon 2, where we had the Kinect for Xbox One, you could actually talk to it through Kinect.
Yeah.
But it wasn't executed very well. Half the time it didn't understand what you were on about. Commands were very limited. But this sounds like that realization.
Yeah. Yeah, properly there. I don't know when it's going to come, but
well, it's all the more reason why Microsoft need a microphone on their new controller. Hint, hint.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
Well, we got that controller that's leaked.
Well, yeah, and if they can do it where the battery doesn't drain so quick, that'd be even better.
No, the Xbox controllers are very good for battery.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
the PlayStation that you know.
No, I know, but when you start throwing a microphone in it, and when you start throwing all extra amounts of all this haptic stuff, I'm guessing a part of the reason why the PlayStation 5 controller drains as it does is because of all that extra stuff.
Haptics use less battery than traditional vibrating motors. Because with traditional vibrating motors, there's a run up before it gets to the full speed, and then it spins and then it dwindles down. With haptics, it's such a precise, it's either on or off, and it uses such less power to make that thingamajig vibrate. Microphones, you're not going to use it too often. Yeah, there will be some usage that may eat into it. If they had a speaker, that could be the same as well. But I think, especially with the Elite pads, they've got a 40-hour battery life. You can eat into that. You can go down to 35 and I'll still be happy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's just when you've already got a DualSense 5 that currently has I think it's an advertised 8 hours, and then you spend 200 on a DualSense Elite or whatever it's called, and it goes down to 5 hours, that's a problem, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to have to do this to you, mate. Sorry, we're going to talk very briefly about football. We might have to
go
touch
for
on
it
twice. But
I'll ask questions like a silly blonde then.
Well, it's been confirmed. It's now actually been confirmed. So there's been rumours circulating early as back as around about September last year that basically once EA lost the ability to use the FIFA name in its games, that's why it's called EAFC 24, that FIFA themselves were going to work with someone on a new game franchise to potentially take on against FIFA. Well, it's now been confirmed that the selection has been 2K and that they are working on a rival to FIFA. Now, what's a little bit unknown at the moment is that despite Gianni Infantino's FIFA's president, and no doubt involved in some other, as every FIFA president seems to be, a bit dodgy, I don't know.
Just a bit.
But there seems to be an indication that it's either going to be a World Cup game to start off with, or it's not wholly certain whether this is going to be a yearly release thing or not. But either way, someone new in the space to try and challenge EA for what has been an awful year this year. I mean, it's been bad for years, but this year especially, to take a game that was playable 7 months down the line, fundamentally change that game so much that nobody wants to play it anymore because it's that awful. It's been a dreadful year for EA, and I don't even want to see. I can't. What's it? Simon? Someone? I can't remember his name. He's the EA Sports, and I think he's the general EA guy now. Over at EA, he always wears his blazers with track bottoms on or something like that, and he's always coming out looking for like, I don't know. But anyway, they're going to come out during Gamescom week and talk about the new FIFA. See, it's so that it's stuck in the. I'm just not looking forward to what's happening from them. Equally though, 2K. Yes, they've got a reputation for doing a bunch of good stuff. More notably, probably on the WWE side, in recent years, created some really sturdy wrestling games. However, they brought out Topspin a few weeks ago, and that is awful. So they've not been doing a good job on that. They've always been ripping people off in terms of their prices. They've messed up the 2K Golf Series.
Basketball as well.
Yeah. So I'm not holding up massive amounts of hope in terms of there being a genuine challenger to make it better. Unless they say, look, if we're going to take EA on here, we're going to have to put all of that to one side and go against the grain and not do all of this microtransaction rubbish to the same degree, at least to try and build a base.
Let me ask you a question then.
Yeah.
In a perfect world, who would be your preferred developer for the future of the main series football games? If you could pick any developer.
Question. It's a very difficult question. I mean,
who do you think's got the caliber of...
Well, I think you would probably have to go back to who were the developers at Konami back when Pro Evolution Soccer 5 and 4 and 5 were about, because these are clearly not the same people working on these games today. Who were the people that working on FIFA 21 back in 2021, which still is the best version of FIFA for me to date? I don't think these are the same people that are at these studios to have allowed these games to progressively get worse. I don't think these same people are working there. So it's not so much about the developer. What is that developer? It's extracting the talent from these existing studios that were around when these games had these highlight years where they were actually good. And it's been a long time ago for Pro Evo. But we'll go on to the Playstack. Actually, there's been maybe a little grain of hope on the Konami side, but you look at outside that, Ubisoft had a crack at it with Pure Football. Absolute dreadful. That game was awful. I don't know. Everyone's asking for a proper, decent career football mode or an online career co-op mode for a sports title where you can properly upgrade your stadiums properly, do a lot of financial management. It takes it a bit more down the Football Manager avenue, except you play the matches, but it gives you that extra layer of depth that someone would want if they're using the Korean. They don't do any of it. I remember going back to a very old FIFA game where you could create tournaments and put a passcode on a tournament and fill up your lobbies and play online tournaments. Don't exist. It hasn't existed for over 10 years. So they had some really nice features in their games years and years ago, never found their way back. They just focus on Ultimate Team all the time. Where's the cash? It's that again. And that's all they care about.
Maybe time for an unsuspected developer to step in, someone who's never done a football game before that says, you know what, I'd like to take a crack at that.
There's a couple of things out there at the moment, but I've not seen anything. There's a couple of things in development I've seen from the footage. I don't think they're going to ever get anywhere close. I don't know. the monopoly's got to be broken at some point. And hopefully, I would just love that full modding capacity. I remember playing the Pro Evos. I think it was like 2018 or something. Either way, it was back when I had it on PC. I could go in, make my own custom kits, and believe me, I used to have a lot of fun with the sponsors. And you could create all of these custom teams, badges, and mod the game and make it so much better than even the way that Konami released it.
I think
something that's a bit more open source would be nice.
Yeah. Well, what I'm about to suggest is in no way open source, but I definitely think that it would be amazing to finally see our first Unreal Engine football game.
Well,
how gorgeous that would be.
It would look pretty. It would look pretty sweet. But I think they could do both. Back when FIFA was back in 1998, they had a very more arcade style play, but they also had an indoor football mode. So I wonder if, is there a gap in the market for a football game that gives you both, that gives you that more arcade experience of people that like that. Where Red Card is a great example. Back on the PlayStation, where you could injure players. I mean, properly, make sure that they're messed up and all that lot. Just something that's a bit more arcade orientated, that's more accessible, but also, and it might even be that little gateway to get people into trying the more sophisticated stuff.
I've said it plenty of times. I'm not massive on any form of football game, but arcade football games, I don't know why I tend to love them. 2 buttons, shoot and pass, that's it. Okay, you want to hold buttons down and all that, that's fine. But something really simple, I can definitely get into.
Did you ever play the old Virtua Striker arcade cabinets?
I was more of an Actua Soccer.
Yeah.
Actua Soccer, the very first FIFA game, the isometric one back on the Genesis / Mega Drive. Yeah, that I really enjoyed. There are one or two others. What was that? Was it? I think it was just called Soccer on the original NES. There was
I've never had an NES, but yeah.
Yeah, it was like 8 teams maybe, and everyone used to pick Brazil because they had the best stats, and it was like a 2D. Yeah. That was great. You can even do bicycle kicks. You time it just right, hit both A and B buttons, bicycle kick every single goal as soon as the round starts. It's amazing.
There you go.
Those are the days.
And then that classic PlayStation 1, Chris Kamaris. There were some rubbish ones on PS1, but
I do miss those old golf games. You'd always have a sponsor. Hi, I'm such and such, and this is such and such golf.
Cyber Tiger on PS1, that was great. Remember that?
Ian Botham's Cricket, that was it on PC. Hi, I'm Ian Botham, and welcome to Ian Botham's Cricket.
But yeah, maybe we will see some of this lodge, but I'm not wholly confident on it at all. We've got another story here. I think it's too boring to cover, to be honest. Ubisoft again are now talking about getting rid of their season passes and now turning them into monthly subscriptions instead.
Yeah, that's how you kill a company. Just
know. So Ubisoft are taking 1 step forward, 2 steps back, similar to Microsoft. Just seem to be doing that stuff. The last story for the news segment is pretty interesting. Rocksteady co-founders are working on a new Xbox console exclusive and PC title. So the co-founders, Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, have partnered with Microsoft. They've got a new studio. I'm pretty excited by that, considering how decent that the earlier Batman games were on the 360 and all of that.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, there's a bunch of people going to this studio that did work on the Arkham games, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if they can do it, I'm all for it, because what they did with Suicide Squad and Kill the Justice League. Mm-hmm. No, we can't be doing that. Classic case of, let's take a team that make a specific game and they've had 9s and 10s all around the board and make them do something that they're not passionate about.
Yeah.
Let's see if Xbox stay true and don't continue to not force developers to make games they don't want to or they're not passionate about. That's the thing about art. You have to enjoy it. If somebody enjoys their art, they're more likely to do a good job. It's not freaking Excel.
100%.
Anyone can plug numbers into an Excel spreadsheet. You don't have to love it, but the numbers are the same either way. Art is very subjective. Art is an expression of oneself. You're happy, you're going to get good results. You wouldn't dare sit in a hairdresser's chair with her holding a pair of scissors in a bad mood. No way in hell, So not the best analogy, but you get where I'm going with it.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what transpires on that. I don't think we're going to hear much about that this year at all. I think we might hear something maybe next year as to what that might be. We're on the Playstack. Let's do our Playstack. I've got quite a few games on here, but obviously I'm not going to go massively into many of them. There's a couple I want to talk about. Should we talk about the ones that we played together briefly? Because there were some interesting quirks that happened when we played. So we played a bit of Quake Arena Arcade. We were achievement grifting on this game, and it had the most bizarre achievement glitch.
Yeah, so there's no one playing Quake Arena Arcade, as we mentioned in our last episode. He said one night, screw it, you and I jump on, let's see if we can, boost these achievements. There's no one in the lobbies, it shouldn't be a problem. We jumped on there, get 5 kills, get 10 kills, play, a round of every type of match and all this stuff. And we're plodding through it, getting them. And then there's one where it was like, what was it? Get 5 wins or something, win 5 matches. Mm-hmm. I said, you know what? I've got 4. I might as well just go for the 5th. And I think you had no wins at one point.
Yeah.
So I got the 5th. And did I get the achievement? No. Did you get the achievement?
Yes.
So, what the hell? I've never had an achievement give the opposite person the win.
It's so bizarre. And so we flipped the script.
So hang on. So I was like, oh god, I can't be bothered to go through that again. And you were nice enough to say, do you want to try? I'm like, all right, let's do it. So
I think we found the easiest map to do it on, didn't we?
The smallest, easiest map. Yeah. All right, match starts. Yeah, I'm parked up in this corner. Come kill me. We did that a bunch of times. 20 minutes or so later. All right, here we go. Finally got it. Match ended. Did I get the achievement? No. Nothing.
Oh, yeah, I forgot you still didn't get it.
Yeah, I still didn't get it. So I've got 10 wins and no achievement.
Have you booted the game back? Because obviously sometimes you get those ones that don't pop.
That's a good point. I might do that, actually.
It might be worth opening that up again.
I don't know what it was. I was just fiending for some Quake that day, and I was quite upset when I found out that there was no one on the servers anymore. But they were still selling the game for $5.
Yeah.
That's a bit... I got a sour taste in my mouth about that.
Obviously, they brought out a more modern one on the the free. Was it the free to play one?
Well, the free to play one's Quake Champions. That's only
I
on PC.
haven't been on that for ages.
I haven't played it. It's PC only.
Was there not a Quake one? Another Quake one?
There was a Quake 1 and a Quake 2 remaster, but I don't think it had any multiplayer.
Oh.
It was just the solo. Yeah.
It must have been something else then, maybe.
Because those were really old PC games, so multiplayer back then was a whole, like, you had to go into the DOS command and launch this separate app and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Call your friend and say, what's your TCP IP settings? And then hang up the phone, dial it, and plug the phone up. So if they try calling you back because it ain't working, they couldn't get through. It was a whole thing, this.
Yeah. What have you been playing then?
You've
still been playing the Dead Island 2, right?
Yeah, I played about an hour of Dead Island 2, but I've been just consumed with XDefiant, to be honest. Trying to level up and get that level 50. I've got, like I said, 2 achievements left, and then it's really in Ubisoft's court at that point, because I'm not going to keep my hard drive clogged up too much longer.
Right.
I think, what is it, 22 gig, this game? Not massive, but still 22 gig,
True. All right, I'll rattle through mine then, very quickly then. So I tried to play Hellblade 1.
This disappoints me.
I'm sorry, but people have been criticising Hellblade 2 and the fact that this is more of a walking simulator than ever this time round. Well, Hellblade 1 is meant to be the better version of the 2 games from a gameplay perspective, supposedly, from a variation perspective. As opposed to the technical achievement, this game is absolutely beautiful. Don't get me wrong, this game is gorgeous. But I was like, did I play this game before? And I booted the thing back up. Yes, clearly I did. I got confused, but I played the Plague Tale Requiem instead. No, it was Hellblade, the original. I went back into this game, honestly. I don't know how people play it. It's just the I don't mind exploring an area of a map. First of all, there's parts in the map on these levels that are designed that reminds me of queuing up in a post office, walking down backwards, down backwards, down backwards. Like there's one linear route. It's not like you can break through any parts of like the foliage in places. It's walled off. Things like that, just level design like that's just frustrating. But the thing that's so annoying about some of these puzzles, I clearly can see what I need to do, but because I haven't explored somewhere, it's not activated. And I go back. There was one specific thing I had to go through that arch thing, right? And I'm like, the only way that I can get over to that, there's this gap. I can't obviously jump from one gap to the next. And I look round, it's like, there's no other route to it. I come back to this same area and a plank of wood's magically there. It's like, what? What's going on?
That's schizophrenia for you. You know,
I know, I'm trying to do that. It's one of those games I'm just never going to get on with. And I might boot up to see, I might boot Hellblade up just to see how nice it looks. The second one. But I was just hoping that they'd just get rid of a lot of the puzzles and just actually give me combat. Emotive storytelling. I don't care if I have to, walk around, find stuff, investigate some areas. But throwing in those puzzles in the way that it just does it in such a weird way that it's not even challenging. It's not like when you play an Uncharted game and you see a whole bunch of these glyphs and you have to move all this other stuff around and do all of this stuff that gives you... It just didn't do it in the same type of way, and therefore it just frustrated me. So I tried to... I just couldn't. And I weren't going to bust out a walkthrough every 2 minutes. So I wasn't going to do that. I'll be very quick on the rest then. Star Trucker, it is literally Euro Truck Simulator in space. Utopia Must Fall, I sent you the demo to that. It's like Missile Command. We might be doing a one-to-watch video on that. And then lastly... Multiverses was relaunched. This is a Smash Brothers multi-platform style clone game, and I've really enjoyed what I played of it. But I'm hearing some bad stuff in terms of the grinding aspects from people who've played it longer. The more you play this game, the more stingy Warner Brothers are with you being able to progress in it. And then all of a sudden, those paid mechanics really have to come in. Yeah. And it's £7.99 a character. So, there's a couple more on here, but I'll talk about them when I played a bit more. So, I'll be interested to see what I'll be playing this weekend, because I need to get into something and just relax after this property inspection. So anyway, I think that pretty much wraps it up, guys. So hopefully you've enjoyed the episode. Please give it a like and... enjoy all the coverage we've got coming up, because there's going to be loads of it.
Yeah, stay tuned.
We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.